Howdy y'all, I'm Ice Gold, and today I'll be educating you on what each school's Roshambo spells do. Now, this is mainly for PvP, but all kinds of advanced combat allow their use. And you'll know which is a Roshambo spell when it just has the effects, and it doesn't really do anything else with it. So I'll be explaining every school's Roshambo spells in this video. So, and each school gets 4 of them. Just a quick little heads up. So, let's look at Fire's. So, Fire's Roshambo spells are Backfire, Jin's Reversal, Oni's Forge, and Meltdown. So let's look at Backfire. Backfire will clear up to 3. Whenever it says in parentheses, it means up to. It will clear traps on the caster for fire overtimes on the target. Jin's Reversal will clear up to 3 negative boards on the caster, and negative boards basically just mean traps. That's kind of about it. But it'll clear up to 3 negative wards on the caster for universal overtime traps on the target. I know reading this is like trying to read Egyptian hieroglyphics, but that's what it does. So yeah, any school can theoretically use this, since it'll make the overtime traps universal. Oni's Forge will clear up to 3 shields on the opponent for up to 3 5-round heal overtimes on the caster. And yeah, this fits in with Fire's identity as, you know, kind of like the shield breaker school, but with all the overtimes that it gets, like Glimpse down here. And then Meltdown will basically just do what Backfire did, but with shields. It will clear up to 3 shields on the target for up to 3 fire overtimes on the target. Let's go to Ice. So, Ice's 4 Roshambo spells are Wall of Blades, Glacial Fortress, Oni's Destruction, and Jin's Vexation. So Wall of Blades will clear up to 3 positive charms on the target for universal shields on the caster. So this will turn, positive charms on the target into, I believe, 20% tower shields on the caster. And then Glacial Fortress will do the same, but with curses on the caster, curses commonly being called weaknesses. And it will clear the weaknesses on the caster for minus 20% universal shields on the caster. Oni's Destruction will clear 3, or up to 3, positive charms on the target for ice traps on the target. And one thing I should mention, the Oni's Destruction, or anything with Oni or Jin in it, is a ramp for setting up the Jin spells, like Iceburn Jin and whatever the hell Ice's Oni is. Right, Everwinter Oni. So if you use Oni's Destruction and get yourself some ice traps on your target, if you get 4 or more traps on the target, with or without the spell, the Everwinter Oni will do ×2 damage. And it's the same with Jin. If you get 4 negative charms on your target with Jin's Vexation, which will turn curses on yourself into minus 10% weaknesses on the target, that will then do double the damage. So, just something to keep in mind if you are trying to learn advanced content. Let's talk about Storm. So, let's take a look at Storm's Roshambo spells. Storm has Jin's Restoration, Energy Transfer, Reap the Whirlwind, and Oni's Attrition. So, Jin's Restoration will clear 1 heal overtime on the target for a heal overtime that lasts for 4 rounds on the caster. and this will buff the Thundering Djinn spell. If you have 2 heal overtimes on yourself, it will do double the damage. Energy Transfer will clear a heal overtime on the target for a guiding light, or 2 guiding lights rather, on the caster. So that can be kind of nice if you're trying to heal. Reap the Whirlwind will clear up to 1, meaning this will not handle a protected overtime, for 2 Stormblades on the caster. And then Oni's Attrition will again clear up to 1 non-protected overtime for universal weaknesses on the target, and it'll do 2 of those. So that wraps up Storm. Let's go to Myth. So Myth's Roshambo spells are Delusion, Betrayal, Djinn's Defense, and Oni's Protection. So Delusion will clear up to 3 curses on the caster for Myth Jinxes, commonly called traps, on the target, and these are plus 15%. Betrayal will clear up to 3 shields on the target for plus 15% Myth Jinxes on the target. So keep in mind. And then Djinn's Defense will clear up to 3 shields on the target for 20% universal shields on the caster. And Djinn's Defense will buff up the Fantastic Djinn Gambit, which if you have 4 or more shields on yourself, it will get rid of those shields, but it will do 1850 damage instead of 1120 as the trade-off. Oni's Projection will clear curses, up to 3 curses on the caster for 5-round Myth Deferred Overtimes on the target. And that will buff up the Trickster Oni, which will do more damage and upfront damage if the target has 2 or more overtimes. Let's go ahead and talk about Life. So Life has some pretty useful Roshambo spells of their own, these being Tranquility, Meditation, Djinn's Affliction, and Oni's Naturalism. Tranquility will clear up to 3 negative wards or jinxes on the caster for 5-round heal overtimes, also on the caster. Meditation will clear up to 1 unprotected damage overtime for a 5-round heal overtime on the caster as well. And then Djinn's Affliction will clear up to 1 unprotected overtime for a life unprotected overtime that lasts for 3 rounds on the target. And this will buff up the Verdurous Djinn spell, which will do 1140 damage if you have 2 overtimes on the target. And then Oni's Naturalism will clear up to 3 jinxes on the caster for life blades on the caster. These are 15% life blades, and they will buff up the Primal Oni spell, and it will do double the damage if you have 4 charms on yourself. And another thing I should mention is a lot of these Roshambo spells tie in with school identity. Life is supposed to counter Myth on the Roshambo wheel, and then Myth is the Jinx school, which is why you see, things like clearing up to 3 jinxes on 2 of their spells. And then while Life's at it, they also counter Fire, so Fire's main identity being overtimes, so that's why they get Meditation and Djinn's Affliction. And that's really okay. So the Roshambo wheel pretty much determines all of these spells. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the Death School. So Death's identity as the Curse School gives us Contagion, Djinn's Larceny, Oni's Morbidity, and Putrefaction. So Contagion will clear up to 1 unprotected heal over time on the target for 2 infections on the target. And then, which is death countering life. And then Jin's Larceny will clear up to 3 charms on the target for Death Blades on the caster, which is plus 15s, I believe. And that will buff the, if I can find it, the Macabre Jin, which, you know, typical Blade Gambit, clear for charms on yourself, and it'll do double the damage, which equates to 1710, which is pretty solid for advanced combat. Oni's Morbidity will clear up to 1 unprotected heal over time for universal shields on the caster, and it'll do 2 of those, which will set up the Doom Oni Shield Gambit. It's good if you're trying to set up strat in PvP. Although it really isn't, because a lot of heals are protected, so use at your own risk. Putrefaction. This will clear up to 3 charms on the target for universal weaknesses on the target. So it's a pretty good blade counter for death. Let's move on to balance. So my balance isn't maxed yet, so I'm here with Alhazred, so I can look at what's in store. But balance has some interesting ones because it is not technically on the Roshambo wheel. It's just stuck in the middle. So balance has Riding the Scales, which will clear 3 of each, or up to 3 of each. If it clears up to 3, and this is like peak hieroglyphics, if it clears up to 3 shields and jinxes on the target, then the target will get 3 pips, or up to 3 pips, depending on how many it clears. And at the same time, it will clear up to 3 shields and jinxes on the caster, which will give the caster up to 3 pips. So this is this and Eye of Vigilance are 2 of the most confusing spells to ever be added to the game, but that's I hope that's right. It should be. And then Eye of Vigilance is basically just Riding the Scales, but with charms and curses, except, you know, flipped, because Wiz. So if you clear up to 3 charms and curses on the opponent, it should give you 3 or up to 3 pips. And then if you clear charms and curses on yourself, it'll give the target up to 3 pips. Weird ass spell, to be certain. But that's Eye of Vigilance. As for Alhazred, Jin's Fortune gives us the Echo mechanic, which, if you have a jinx on yourself, it will add a 30% jinx on the target. So, you know, if you're going against the fire and the fire has a trap on you, using this spell will simply put a trap on them. Obviously, you know, if you have a trap on you. And then, if your target has a shield, this spell will put up to 2 minus 50% shields on yourself. So, yeah, you can tell I ran out of room, because it looks kind of confusing, especially with the whole Echo thing. And then that will set up the Duststorm Jin Gambit, which will do 605 fire, then ice, then storm, which is pretty damn powerful. That is 1815 base. And you can set it up pretty easily with not only Jin's Fortune, but just by playing regularly. So there's that. And then the last Roshambo spell that balance gets is Oni's Shadow. And this basically just does what Jin's Fortune does, but with charms and curses. So if you have if you see a charm on your target, this will give you up to 2 25% universal blades. And then if you have up to 2 curses on yourself, it'll put up to 2 minus 25% weaknesses on the target. So, you know, I hope y'all like hieroglyphics because uh, I did my best to explain them here today. So, I mean, its balances are by far the most confusing because, you know, because they're not part of the Roshambo wheel. They just have so much confusing stuff. So, I did my best. So, I hope y'all understand now. But if you don't, feel free to leave a comment. So, yep, that's balance for you. Alright, well, that wasn't exhausting. So, I hope I was able to help y'all today by giving you my wisdom as to all the hieroglyphics that have been added to the game lately. And you know, this doubles as a what the hell does the symbol mean type video. So, and it's weirdly inconsistent because sometimes they'll use the actual Jinx icon, like this little trap looking thing, and then other times they'll just use like a ward icon with a slash through it. So I don't know, they mean the same thing if you're confused. So yeah, otherwise I'll probably talk about like gambits and conditionals in the next one. So if you want to learn about those, because those get confusing too, stay tuned. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, y'all.